So let's face it, getting over an ex is brutal. It's like having your heart ripped out and then trampled on. But here's the kicker. The pain, as gut-wrenching as it is, isn't just necessary, it is transformative. And I mean that in a good way. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat the breakup recovery process or try and hand you some dumb, superficial quick fix or a set of tricks to heal your heart. No, I am going to give you something a bit more uncomfortable, at least at times uncomfortable, yet something that is also supremely practical when it comes to just helping you get over your ex. Straight up, no fluff, no BS. And just one quick note before we get started, you can use this same advice that I will give you in this video, whether you want to move on for good, maybe even find someone else, or if you want to just heal from your breakup so you can get into emotionally a better position to then mend your ex relationship. So just putting it out there, so buckle up because, well, let's get into it. It's gonna be hopefully an enlightening, useful journey. So let's start with our first piece of advice. Get the basics in order, meaning sleep. Get enough of it, get quality sleep. Have a healthy diet, so don't eat too much or don't eat the wrong things like fried foods, just foods packed full of sugar, artificial, processed, super processed foods, stuff like that. You want to stay fit, you want to stay healthy. If you're obese, if you are a bit more out of shape, go and exercise. In fact, make it a habit. Make a habit of exercising regularly, even if it's just going for a light walk every day. Basically, don't be a slob, do some physical activity. And kind of in a similar vein, be presentable, keep your hygiene in check. Now, apart from the self-care practices like that, you should also, in this time that you have, when you are out of a relationship and you can focus more on yourself, you should double down on engaging with your hobbies, on finding new hobbies and fun activities to do. You should hang out with friends and family more than usual. You should even date around a little bit if you feel that that is something that could be fun or exciting for you, at least a little bit. And of course, if you're overworked, consider taking some time off if that's possible. If you still live with your parents but are of the ripe age and you have the means for it, just move out, have your own place. You're gonna feel way more as an adult if you have that. If you don't have any responsibilities also, like studies, work, child rearing, I would really make it a priority to go and get some. Now moving on to the second piece of advice, get space away from your ex, both physically and emotionally. So from now on, don't call or text them anymore, don't engage with their social media, avoid any accidental encounters, get rid of every item that reminds you of your ex, and avoid going to places that trigger painful memories or that could potentially trigger them. Now, in cases where a clean cut like this is impossible, like when you live with your ex, maybe you work together, maybe you have kids or pets or any other shared responsibilities like that, only communicate when you need to make a decision or some agreement about whatever the logistical matter is. And during that time, avoid mindless chit-chat, keep your conversations instead short, to the point, and kind of businesslike. And this is very important. You want to end them as soon as you come to some mutually beneficial conclusion, solution, or agreement. And this way, you simply avoid spiraling into some sort of dramatic emotional talks about a breakup or whatnot. Now, talking of emotions, that's kind of another tip I want to give you. Get a grip on them. And here's how I like to do it, right? How I like to approach this problem. So whenever you feel depressed, whenever you feel sad, jealous, anxious, angry, whatever, go somewhere private, let yourself cry, scream, punch stuff, and just keep doing that until you have let it all out. And don't judge yourself during these moments. Please don't be an asshole to yourself, because this is how you feel your emotions and you need to feel them fully to eventually process them and, well, heal and feel better. Another thing to keep in mind is that feeling your emotions fully, so to a point where it's therapeutic and you feel better about yourself because of it, it might take you a few minutes or it might take you a few hours. It just varies from person to person, from breakup to breakup. But the point is, do not rush the process or pressure yourself. And you'll also want to repeat this activity multiple times over the following days or weeks or even months, because emotions, they tend to regrow and resurface, and you need to keep doing this process until you are completely devoid of just intense emotions around your breakup and around your ex. And that's going to also help you, of course, get over them faster. Now, moving on to the fourth piece of advice, it's to cultivate forgiveness. So forgive your ex for the mistakes they've made, and forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made. Now, this doesn't mean forgetting or condoning whatever happened. This just means deciding to accept it, and then remaking the decision until you feel like you've let some of your resentment, your anger go. Next up, experiment with modalities proven to help you calm down and just make you a more of an emotional wielding badass. Someone who manages their emotions really well. So what are these modalities? Very simple stuff. You've probably heard about them a million times, but it's worth repeating them here in this video. So focus on doing modalities, on trying them out, experimenting with them, like meditation, like journaling, yoga, and of course, everyone's favorite, therapy. Be sure that if you're going through a harsh breakup, you go to therapy. It's probably the best investment you will be able to ever make when it comes to getting over a breakup. More valuable than my coaching, my courses, or anyone else's courses or coaching or breakup recovery books or whatever. Therapy is the fundamental thing you should be doing if you're having a hard time getting through a breakup. In fact, I would even say that you should get into therapy even if going through your breakup is effortless for you. I mean, fine, if that was the case, you wouldn't be watching this video, but just even if you ever arrive at that place, why is then therapy still beneficial to go to? Because it will help you uncover what really went wrong in the relationship, where you can do better, so you can avoid a potential future breakup. So just however you look at it, therapy is pretty much required. You should go to it. Anyway, to not get carried away here, another piece of advice I want to give you is to reserve at least 10 minutes a day to think about what you're grateful for. So basically, gratitude 101. And this, what you're grateful for, it could be anything. Though the more specific you can be, the better. And then when you have a few things in your mind that you are grateful for or that you can be grateful for, either write them down or repeat them to yourself out loud. And keep doing this for at least a few weeks. And I guarantee you're gonna feel much better about your breakup and yourself. Gratitude, as cheesy as it is, as cheesy as the whole thing sounds, it's powerful. And there's a lot of scientific data that backs up this claim, that basically proves gratitude actually helps people dealing with harsh emotional issues. Next off is to rally your support system. Now this means gathering your friends, your family, your peers, even professionals who you trust, like a therapist, who will basically actively listen to your concerns and give heartfelt advice and offer consistent, support. So gather all of these people up and then lean on the support system. So what does this mean? It means ask for advice, a listening ear, or simply for support, for someone to console you. Suffering is way more bearable when you have caring people around you to share it with, and that's something you should keep in mind. Another piece of advice, kind of similar to this one, is to join a few meaningful communities, either online or offline. So these could be churches, volunteer and charity groups, political organizations, local hotspots, niche clubs, business seminars and masterminds. Like, these are all solid examples. Also, very important, don't be friends with your ex. That's another piece of advice that you should follow religiously. Being friends after a breakup makes getting over them way more exhausting than it should be. The only time you really could be friends with your ex, and even then I wouldn't suggest it, is when there is absolutely no emotional baggage or attachment, or perhaps the desire to rekindle things present on either side. Now, another crucial tip: don't blame your ex for the breakup. Yeah, sure, it probably feels good in the short term, but in the long run, blaming your ex has some really negative repercussions. For one, or most notably, it keeps you stuck with an inability to move on. It basically makes you ruminate more, it makes you more angry. So instead, what I would do is just take responsibility for the breakup. So this basically means realizing and accepting that while it may be your ex's fault, it's always your responsibility how you deal with the whole shit show. I mean, your ex is not responsible for making you happy. That's your job, and that's what you want to focus on. Next, I want you to decide on something very important. What would be even more important than your breakup? And then you focus on that, you double down on that, you care about that. What is something in your life right now, perhaps, that is or could be more important and meaningful than your ex and your relationship with them? And this could really be anything: fighting for a cause you believe in, excelling in your career, nurturing another relationship, mastering some skill, developing a certain habit, whatever. Now, what also helps getting over an ex is changing the story you tell yourself. So what I mean is, think less along the lines of, I broke up because I'm a needy, worthless piece of shit, and more along the lines of, hey, I made a few mistakes, but everyone does that. So, I'm not that special. It's fine. Yes, it sucks, but I'll probably be better. I'll probably be okay eventually. Like, this breakup as a whole perhaps really is an opportunity for personal growth. Now, as you can probably notice, the first narrative, it leads to negative outcomes, and it makes it harder to get over your ex. I mean, that is a negative outcome, while the second narrative leads to positive outcomes. So try to maybe adopt some sort of mindset similar to that pushes you forward, that inspires you, that empowers you, instead of everything the opposite of all of that. Now, another tip I want to give you is to just be mindful of death. Yes, I know, this isn't the most cheerful topic. I mean, it's death, right? But just hear me out. Realizing that all we cherish will eventually wither away and die and just, obliterate itself, it forces us to figure out what we should care about and what we shouldn't care about. It compels us to make deliberate choices about our priorities. And when confronted with the inevitable transience of life, adversities like a breakup, well, they just don't hold the same weight anymore. I mean, just think about it. It might change everything. Like, when you stretch your life's timeline far enough, these experiences, traumatic experiences like a breakup, and I'm not downplaying the breakup, by the way, but when you really stretch your life's timeline far enough, they are just parts in your entire story, and by themselves, they don't mean a lot. They don't hold a lot of emotional weight. So just something to think about. Now, finally, I want to go into one last tip. Sometimes you just don't need to do anything to get over your ex. I know you're proactive right now. I know you are, if you're watching this video, you're probably trying out a shit ton of approaches and modalities and methods to get over your ex, to finally move on. But just know that sometimes all you really need is to surrender, let time do its thing. And look, I'm not saying time heals all wounds. It doesn't. Time will never heal your trauma or fix your relationship or improve your self-esteem that probably got damaged when you broke up. But what time does is it helps you feel like yourself again when enough of it passes. It helps you gain perspective, and it helps you have this opportunity. Okay, it helps you earn the opportunity to look back at your relationship and really discern where things went wrong, where things could improve, and then you can learn from all of that and improve in your next relationship, be that with your ex or someone else. So don't be afraid of simply waiting for time to do its thing, to help you get over your ex. And I mean, if I was a bet man, I would bet that eventually, even if it doesn't feel like it, time is just gonna help you out and you're gonna feel like yourself again. In fact, I would go even as far as to say that I know you don't believe me right now, but at some point in time, you're gonna be fine. This thing is gonna blow past you, it's gonna go by, drift away into oblivion, and life is going to go back to normal. So that's it for this video. If you want additional tips and advice and methods for getting over an ex, for healing from a breakup, you should download my free recovery cheat sheet. The link to this free resource is in the description down below this video. With that being said, thanks for tuning in, and bye-bye.